Hey guys, how's it going? It's El Platano Loco here, back with our part 2 of our review. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. We have 10 cards that we're going to go over in this video, so let's get it. Our first card here is a 5 mana spell from the Demon Hunter set, and these are going to be the cards that are going to be released for specifically for Demon Hunter. I'm really excited about Skull of Gul'dan. Skull of Gul'dan is a 5 mana spell, sorry, and it reads: draw 3 cards, outcast, reduce their cost by 3. Um, on the base level, just drawing 3 cards is okay. I mean, you could kind of think about it like a nourish for a druid. You're still getting a slight discount in comparison to nourish, but if you're able to get that outcast effect, especially when you're in top decking mode as a demon hunter, when you're using your resources to constantly press your opponents, outcast, if you're able to get that reduction of 3 off of each card that you do draw, that's going to be super insane. I just like this card. It's just on face value, it's a very strong refill card just to keep you in the game, but it has that upside of potentially reducing up to 9 mana worth of cost off of the cards that it does draw. So I think the Outcast just gives it a lot of upside, and for the type of deck that is going to be serving, which are more so aggressive or mid-range decks, I think that this is going to be very strong. Even for control decks, if you're ever run out of resources and then you see yourself in a pinch, Skull of Gul'dan is going to be very strong, and you could also kind of maneuver the types of cards that you use to slot this in either to the right side of your hand or to the leftmost position in your hand. So I really like Skull of Gul'dan. I think this card is a 4-star card at least. In certain situations, is going to be a 5-star card, but I'm going to give Skull of Gul'dan 4 stars. Here we have another Demon Hunter card, the War Gleaves of Azirnoth. This is a 5 mana 3/4 weapon for the Demon Hunter class that reads: after attacking a minion, your hero may attack again. Now, we have seen similar cards in the Warrior class, 3/4, that can attack, and if it kills a minion, you can attack again. But this just gives you the ability to attack either the same minion up to 4 times, or multiple small to mid-sized minions up to 4 times. You could also attack a minion and also the face if you want to mix it up and get the most value off. Now, we did see a card for the Demon Hunter that's very interesting when it's paired with this, called Fade. Now, Fade, the 0 mana card that gives you that invulnerability, or invincibility rather, that you can't be chipped. Even though you attack minions, you won't take any damage at all. I think that that's going to be really great paired with this to kind of just like, fight away aggro. So I think that War Gleaves of Azirnoth is a decent card. And if you play it on 6, you could also hero power. So you're going to have a 4/4 weapon that can attack up to 4 times. As far as like minions, 3-1 face. So I think that this is going to be a really great card. Now, 3/4 is pretty solid. Now, I don't know if you're going to be playing this in the aggressive decks or more so mid-range control, since it's more targeted towards removal. But decent card. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5 stars. Our next card here is the Imprisoned Observer. Imprisoned Observer is a 3 mana 4/5 minion for mage, and now you see that there's a dormant text on the card here. That's actually one of the new keywords in the Ashes of Outland expansion that pertains to a few minions with pretty strong effects. Imprisoned Observer, you could think about it as a Yeti for 3 mana on face value, but it is dormant, so the future cost is more so like putting in an extra 2 mana maybe for the effect, kind of like stalling that out, I guess. But the effect for this minion is to deal 2 damage to all enemy minions when it awakens. So when you first play this, it's just going to be kind of like a little token that can't be targeted by you or your opponent. But after those 2 turns pass, then it deals 2 damage to all enemy minions. So pretty strong, but I just feel like, you know, the Prison Observer doesn't really... I feel like dealing 2 damage AoE is decent, but for the amount of investment, as far as like turns, I feel like Mage proactively wants to be either removing or leveraging their resources. So I feel like Imprisoned Observer is going to maybe fit some kind of niche control decks maybe, or maybe a one-of in Highlander. But I don't know if this is going to be good enough to kind of like claim a spot in the main rotation. But we're going to see. I'm definitely going to give this a try. Imprisoned Observer, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Now our next minion here is actually in the same vein as far as the Dormant keyword here. It's the Imprisoned Satyr. Imprisoned Satyr is a 3 mana 3/3 druid minion that reads Dormant for 2 turns. When this awakens, reduce the cost of a random minion in your hand by 5. So you play this for 3 mana, chills on the board for 2 turns, and on turn 5, or let's say if you coin this out, on turn earlier as turn 4, you could reduce a 9 mana card in your hand to 4. 9 mana minion, because it specifically targets minions. So I could definitely see this as a 2-of in a big druid style of deck. And with the control tools that druid does have, you could probably throw it into a quest druid. With quest druid, since you're already passing those turns with unspent mana, I think that if you slot in a satyr, I think it could find a kind of like a groove in that timeline there to produce cards value in the hand, the mana cost I mean in the hand for you. So I think Satyr is going to be pretty decent depending on if we get more support for a big druid style of play. So we'll see. But 5 mana is a big reduction. It's kind of like a baby version of what's this? The Dream Petal Florist. Dream Petal Florist. I give Imprisoned Satyr a 4 out of 5. Now the last 2 cards here, one of them is the Dark Portal. So the Dark Portal is a 4 mana warlock spell that reads draw a minion. If you have at least 8 cards in your hand, it costs 5 less. Now a lot of people have been kind of like rating this card pretty low, but I think that in a very niche style of deck, if you play, let's say, a Malagos maybe, or something that can be comboed off of, you know, can be comboed off of this card here. The only thing is that draw minion if you have... Oh, it is targeted to minions specifically. So if you play, like, let's say a Malagos or any other combo piece that also centers around a kind of like hand warlock or whatnot, I think this could actually be pretty strong. Now the 4 mana investment to draw a minion, and you also have a requirement of having at least 8 cards. I think that's the thing that I don't like about this card. If it was just like draw a minion, maybe 6 cards in your hand, it costs 5 less, would be pretty good, but 8. So hand lock with Dark Portal, I don't think it's gonna work out. I think having that requirement of having at least 8 cards in the hand is what's gonna might mess this card up, but I'm definitely going to give it a try in hand lock. So I'm going to give Dark Portal also a 3 out of 5 stars. Our last card here is the Bulwark of Azirnoth. So the Bulwark of Azirnoth is a 1/4 weapon for warrior for 3 mana that reads whenever your hero would take damage, this loses 1 durability instead. This card is very, very defensive minded. It can actually be pretty strong, especially if your opponent only has mid to big size minions on board, and each of those would be hitting you from anywhere from like 5 to 10 damage. This soaks up a lot of damage. Now versus more aggro-y, swarmy style of decks, this is not going to get as much value because even a 1/1 can take away a durability from the Bulwark here. But I think this is going to be a pretty decent card. It's only 3 mana, and for what you're getting in return, especially against like mid-range decks, control decks, Highlander decks, where they're able to play big dragons off of Alexstrasza, Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, I think that Bulwark of Azirnoth is going to make its way into control warrior decks for sure. And as a one-off in Highlander, it kind of just fits pretty well for what Highlander warrior wants to do. Make it to the late game and just run your opponent straight up out of resources. I think the Bulwark of Azirnoth is really strong, and depending on what the matchup is, you can kind of flex to it. It could also be used to attack, so if you want to knock off a couple of 1/1 tokens, you can also do that. So I think the fact that you can also flex this as an attack as well also adds to that the strength of the card. So I'm going to give Bulwark of Azirnoth a 4 out of 5 stars. Our next card here is a 9 mana 7/9 minion Pit Commander. This is a minion for the Demon Hunter class, and it is a taunt minion that reads, at the end of your turn, summon a demon from your deck. So this is the minion that a lot of people have been talking about as being that big Demon Hunter archetype. Now, it already has taunt, and it does have some support in the I think it's Fel Screamer, the 4 mana 4/4 card that reduces your demon by 2. So if you play this for 7, it's already pretty strong, being a 7/9 with taunt with an upside as well. I think that if you combo those two together, then this makes more sense. But on its own, standalone, pretty decent. Now, do you make it to turn 9 against super aggressive decks? That's the better question. But Pit Commander, from what I'm seeing with the package that it has so far, seems pretty solid, and a more control-y type of Demon Hunter is possible because they do have a good amount of removal in the form of spells, weapons, as well as minions. So I'm going to give Pit Commander a 3.5 out of 5. So here we have Furious Felfin, a 2 mana 3/2, which is pretty strong already. Battlecry, if your hero attacked this turn, gain +1 attack and rush. Alright, so now we're talking. Furious Felfin here, already pretty strong as a 3/2 for 2 mana, very aggressive stat line, very strong stat line. But with the upside, if you attacked the turn already, it gives it +1 attack and rush. Now that's where it gets super strong, especially against cards like Evil Miscreant, as well as the Jeweler card for Rogue that was announced. I think that this is going to be a very strong card, especially for 2 mana. 3 mana if you think about the investment for the hero power, but even then, it also has a Murloc tag, which is also very interesting, just to kind of add more to the Murloc pool there. But I think Furious Felfin is going to be pretty decent, very aggressive. If you're able to get that initial 4/2 with Rush, which you can do it more so than not on turn 3 or 2 with Coin, if you need the removal then and there, I think that this is going to be a very solid card. I'm going to give Furious Felfin a 3.5 out of 5. Another Demon Hunter card here, Spectral Sight. Spectral Sight is a 2 mana spell that reads, draw a card, outcast, draw another. So if you guys didn't know, outcast is a new mechanic that's introduced with this expansion. If the card is on the far right or the far left of your hand, you get a bonus effect. So Spectral Sight on its own, 2 mana, draw a card, that's alright. But Outcast, drawing another card, 2 cards for 2 mana, that's really strong. I really like Spectral Sight, especially if you're playing it in a more aggressive deck, because more likely than not, you're going to be kind of dumping your hand as you go. So if you're in top deck mode, you just need more resources, Spectral Sight. If it's the only card in your hand, you'll be able to cast Outcast. If it's the rightmost or leftmost, you'll be able to cast Outcast. So I think Spectral Sight actually fits that purpose of refueling Demon Hunter for the aggressive decks, but also giving the more mid-range or control decks an option for a double draw, depending on how they play it out. So Spectral Sight, I think, is going to be very strong. I'm interested in this Outcast mechanic, and we'll see how it kind of affects people's playstyle when playing Demon Hunter. So I'm very excited for that. But Spectral Sight, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And the last card here is Kalfa Sunstrider. So this card has been out for a few days now, but I just kind of wanted to give it a review. So far, it has seen a lot of play in Wild with index like Druid, with Innervate, Pounce, and Ultimate Infestation being super broken combination with every spell that you cast. The third spell that you cast costing 0. I think that this card has been a lot of fun so far. Similar to Vargoth of the past, when it came out, people were going bananas with it. So I'm just glad to see that people are really kind of like taking advantage of this free card that Blizzard gave to us. And what can I say? I mean, there's a lot more potential with Sunstrider, especially when the Demon Hunter class takes off. So I really think that it can take off and, you know, provide some very high quality plays, and also give you that flexibility of being a neutral card you can play in any deck. So I really like Kalfa Sunstrider, and just, you know, attaching it more to the WoW lore, I think is really cool, because people were asking for this guy for a long time, just for the character to be introduced to the game. But really fun card to play with. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the optimal use out of it, but I know that somebody's going to come up with a list, or I might come up with a list, who knows. But I'm going to give Kalfa Sunstrider a 4 out of 5. So this is our review number 2, and what can I say, guys? We're moving really fast here. The expansion is right around the corner, April 7th. Make sure, if you like the video, to hit that thumbs up button, and also subscribe to the channel. Help us grow. We're trying to, you know, become a really big community and just provide knowledge for all these new up and coming Hearthstone players, especially with this announcement. I feel like a lot of new players are going to come into the game, and a lot of returning players are going to want to come back to the game with all the changes that Hearthstone has coming. Make sure to check me out on twitch.tv/ElPlatinoLoco, and make sure to follow me on Twitter at ElPlatinoLoco1, and on Instagram as well. I will be providing those links down below. See you guys in the next one. I'm going to have another video out soon. Peace.